What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today is episode 7 of the Reverse Flow Smoker build series. Coming up! If you caught last week's video, we successfully turned all these random pieces of metal into a functioning reverse flow smoker. And although it's technically ready to cook on, there's still a few more finishing touches we gotta do, like this missing grate, we gotta throw some thermometers on there, we gotta throw a damper on the smokestack, and just basically get it all nice and cleaned up and go over everything, make sure it's nice and smooth, make sure we fix all the little places where we missed some welding, and just give it a once over, give it a nice cleaning, and then we'll probably give it a good long burnout. And to start things off, I think I'm gonna have to do my least favorite part of the build series, which is always busting out that super heavy duty drill and cutting a bunch of holes in this thing for the 3 thermometers we're gonna be putting in there. I'm thinking 1 on this side, 1 on this side, and 1 in the middle. Usually I'm not a 3 thermometer kind of guy. I think 1 is good enough, but because this is a new build and a new kind of cooker, I'm curious to see how evenly it cooks across the grates. So now it's time to bust out the Wrist Breaker 3000 for probably the next hour. So basically when it comes to mounting these guys, I just like to aim right where I think the stem would go, which is pretty much as close to the grate as possible, and make a little notch where it's gonna go. On this piece, because I know it's 5 inches, I'm gonna make a dot right at 2.5 so it's nicely centered. And then we'll put a little ding in there. And that little ding is gonna make sure that this drill bit stays nice and centered and doesn't want to walk all over the place. Nice. Oh, it fits. Very nice. Pretty happy about that. Let's do it again. Another thing to note when you're doing a hole is try and keep it as straight as possible. Otherwise your thermometer will be kind of wonky. And when drilling through thick metal like this, I found that slow and steady with a lot of pressure is the best way to go about it. If you just ramp this thing all the way up and go full speed, the whole bit will get really hot and it'll dull super quickly. So that's why I'm kind of putting my body weight on the back of this and trying to keep it at a medium to low speed. Woo, that's some thick metal. Looking very nice. Spraying sparks at the camera, not ideal. Very nice. 4 racks. Second shelf in. I'm getting hungry. So at this point, all the grates are done, but I am going to go through and polish them all up real quick. Clean them up, make sure they're looking real nice. Looking nice and shiny. And now for the rest. There we go, nice and shined up, looking clean. And we'll go ahead and clean these up during the seasoning process a little bit more. But while I'm at it, I'm also going to take down these sharp points a bit because that looks like something I'll catch my arm on and not feel very good. Convenient piece. Pretty classic, just like making the hinges. And you definitely don't need to do a full tube, you know, you could just do one piece up here, one down here, but I like the look of the full sleeve. And there we go, gonna tack that on. On sale now. I've had these weird little magnets for years and I've never used them, but they're really great for this, turns out. And in classic Chud pit build style, I'm just kind of eyeballing this thing, trying to make sure it's straight. Oh God, it's slipping. Maybe I spoke too soon about these magnets. Yeah, looks about right. Now all we gotta do is attach this rod. Nice rod. Looks good to me. That was pretty easy. Let's see how good my eyeballing skills are. Oh, what is that? 2 mil? Nice clearance. That worked out. So now we got all the grates knocked out. I put the holders in up here. I have not built the second grate yet, but I can do that down the road. Thermometers are in, grates are looking clean, damper is done. So what is left? The grease drain. Let's do that. I don't always do this, but on this one I figured it would be a good idea. Going with a ball valve. This is something picked up at Lowe's. Got a little bit of hardware in there just to make it a little easier to weld than this brass. And this should just, where does it open? Boop, boop. Put that on that hole we drilled earlier. That way we can plug it up in case you're traveling or you just want to let it collect for a while. This part's gonna be annoying. This whole process is kind of annoying, folks, not gonna lie. Make sure this is open in the right direction. Found it! That's too heavy for a magnet. Alright. This is awkward. I'm pretty sure that's all we had to do, you know? Thermometers, grease trap, damper, clean grates. All we got to do now is just kind of give this thing a once-over. You know, like I alluded to earlier, there's a few missing weld pockets here and there. Probably want to sand these doors down a little bit. I sanded most of the welds down on this side, but not all the way. And you know what? I'm probably just going to leave them on the underside and the back here. But what I'm going to do now is go through this entire pit, and anything I see that needs to be fixed up, you know, any of these gouges in the steel that we could fill up with welds and sand down just to make it look nice and pretty, nice and smooth, one final polish, and this thing will be good to go. And just like that, this smoker build is complete. Pretty sure. Grease bucket, water pan, and typically on most of my offsets I'll install 2 rods so this thing sits right about there. But because this is a reverse flow, I think that'll kind of block airflow a little bit, and also it'll get in the way of the top rack. So I'm gonna just take advantage of this baffle plate in here, and we can just keep it right here. Fill it up right through the grates. Makes sense to me. And just like that, folks, this thing is officially done. I'd say I'm pretty happy with how this thing came out. There's definitely a few mistakes along the way, as there usually is with a build like this, especially one that I've never done before, but everything seems to be pretty level. It's looking nice and clean. The end cap situation worked out well. We got that bottom plate welded in several spots, so that's not going anywhere. Smokestack looking nice and clean. The firebox, oh, nice and clean. Beautiful clean corners on that. Very happy with that. And yeah, there's some things, if I was really nitpicky, that I could do to make this a little bit better. You know, like I could fill in some of these cuts that I messed up a little bit. There's a ding here and there that I could fix, but you know what? I've been working on this thing for quite a while now, and I'm just ready for it to be done and see how it cooks. You know, it's kind of like trimming a brisket. You could spend all day doing it if you really wanted to make it perfect, but at the end of the day, that's looking pretty good to me. This is it, folks. This is that moment. This is why I build pits. It's that sense of accomplishment of a project done that's actually functioning the way we want it to. Once you see all those temp gauges pointing straight up and some nice clean blue smoke puffing away, all the welding scars and burns and dust and cleanup and heavy lifting manual labor all seem to fade away. Because not only did we do something, we accomplished a task to completion, but now we get to cook on it. So the fun is just beginning. And if we're looking at this thing, it's cooking pretty evenly. Little over 275, little over 275, and then 300 on this side, which is to be expected. Although, honestly, I say that, but I was curious whether this side or that side would be the hottest. I knew it would be one of the two, but because it's that side, that means we know that this thing has a lot of good convection, and judging by that smoke coming out of there, I think we've got ourselves a pretty decent little cooker on our hands. I've been wanting to do this for so long, feeling happy right about now. Anywho, this is what I call the initial burnout phase, where we're just gonna put a bunch of logs in this thing and let it bake away for the next, I don't know, 7 hours or until it's time for bed. I'm gonna get it really hot, see if any welds pop, let all the metal settle into itself, and just send a bunch of smoke through it. Keep an eye on temps and burn off any grease or oils or anything that are in that tank. If you've got the time, I like to do this for as long as possible. All right, folks, and that's gonna do it for this episode. I'm gonna let this thing burn out for a good long time, like I said, just to make sure everything is settled and there's no final adjustments we have to make. Keep an eye on it, give it another once over if there's anything I wanna change before we give it the final seasoning, which is what we're gonna do in the next episode. We're gonna black this thing out, give it a nice oil coat on there, probably throw something on there as a little test cook to see how evenly it cooks, and make sure it's nice and clean and food safe, and then we got ourselves a reverse flow smoker on our hands. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you got a build going of your own, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are building. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace. Oh my God. You guys are such amateurs with those tiny cameras.
So what do you say we load this up in my truck and I take it home, Brad?
I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. Have you ever cooked on a reverse flow?
Yeah.
What's your opinions?
Well, I think they make good bark. I hate that the baffle always seems to give off too much radiant heat and you nuke whatever's on the bottom rack.
Yep.
And I don't think it renders fat as well as standard flow. But they're totally fine.
Guess we'll find out.
We'll find out.